Aloha and welcome to Wisdom Wednesdays, episode 2. I'm Butterfly Brielle, and this week we have Anistara Ma Ka, 1111 Unify Mother, and one of our presenters from this year's 1111 Unify Global Gathering virtual event, SheShe O'Donnell. This week's topic is sovereignty, and we're so excited to be tuning in here today and to just spread this love and joy with each of you. Anistara, take it away.
Yes, thank you so much, Brielle. I really appreciate you, love. Talk about sovereignty. Here we are living in a very dualistic, polarized society right now. And what a moment to really drop into what happens when we go within and we're living within our own sovereign being and what we can create in our life. So I'd like to welcome SheShe O'Donnell. She is known as an earth angel. She is such a sweet sister. I met her several months ago in Palm Springs at a retreat called Unleash Your Inner Wealth with Emmanuel Blanc. And this woman just touched my heart in such a deep way. And I'm super grateful to have you here today. Hi, SheShe. Would you like to introduce yourself a little further?
Sure. Well, yes, I am an earth angel, and I got that job by basically saying yes to being that as my divine sovereign right to choose how I spend my time and energy. And I am for the light, and I'm an emissary of light. And I'm here to help raise the vibration of the planet to the highest vibration of unconditional love. And this journey happened and started back in basically when my sister passed away. Suddenly, it caused me to go into extreme crisis in my life. This was 20 years ago. And I reevaluated all my belief systems. And I went into a dark night of the soul where I just kind of got really, really quiet. And I started being able to realize that this life I had been living, which was this automatic pilot, work, for 10 years in corporate downtown Chicago, was not reality. And if it was not, I hope that wasn't reality. It's because I started asking the big questions, who am I and why am I here? Because the fact that my sister died out of the blue at age 20 and she was super healthy and fit and like an athlete and just with her whole life ahead of her, and she could die just of a fever of unknown origin. That's what it said on her autopsy. I was like, whoa, if you can die that fast, what the heck am I doing with my life, basically? And what I was doing with my life was what I had been programmed to do from grade school and childhood. So 16 years of Catholic education. And just that's the programming. It starts from childhood, fear-based programming. It's a scary world out there. You can do whatever you want, but make sure you do these things. Where people are putting in, basically, they're injecting their own value system in you, whether it's the church, or injecting this fear-based programming. Thinking about, as a child learning that, your soul is like a milk bottle. And when you are born, you have original sin on you. And Jesus died on the cross to save you from this sin. But you are guilty. You were born guilty. And you owe your entire life to this man who suffered. And here's all the pictures of him and the hell he went through. So you automatically have guilt and shame so implanted, which are the two lowest vibrational frequency. That's slavery right there. Guilt and shame. Just everything you do. If you tell a lie, if you have a sexual thought, which is the most natural thing in the world for kids at puberty to feel sexual, because that's a gift from God. That's why the whole human race procreates. But I know, let's just make that a total sin to even have a sexual thought or masturbate or anything. I remember the teacher saying that in 6th grade, and I was like, whoa, I better be careful. And of course, you always can't not do that, right? So you always feel guilty. And so sovereignty is freedom and breaking fully out of, and you basically, the definition of sovereignty is no outside bodies are governing you. It's self-governing. And so you basically decide who you are and what you want to do with your life, and answer to yourself, your higher self, your soul, and God, and not anyone else. So that has been my mission, to live an inspired, free life for the last 20 years since I had my spiritual awakening, thanks to my sister's early death. that was a gift that came on the back end of it, was the ability to kind of ask those big questions and make some massive changes in my life, to have my life be in alignment with my soul. But it really took something. It took a crisis. And a lot of people say they have their spiritual awakening from different crises, whether their own personal health challenges or other people passing away or accidents, all kinds of things.
Yeah, indeed. Sometimes our hardest lessons are the ones that we go through that's very, very difficult. And yet we come out the other side and the lessons become more clear to us, right? So afterwards, it's like 2020 vision from this year and all that's been happening in the world, and just where can we learn our lessons from this year? What are the things that have been brought forth and brought light into our life this year? So what a powerful moment to be talking about sovereignty. And I love that, right? It is definitely self-governance. And how do you operate in your life? What is it that you choose to focus on? What is it that you choose to create? And even if we're bogged down and something's happening to us on the outside, and we're like, oh, I don't deserve this, I'm really going through this, and there's no reason for me to going through this. And there's always a reason. And I always believe that whatever happens for a reason. Even if it's the hardest thing in the world, you have no idea why you're going through it in that moment. In the end, you will discover why. And so even if we're not feeling like, oh, I created all these things in my life that I don't like and I don't want, what I mean by creating our life is how you respond, right? What if you are responsible? How do you respond to the things that are happening in your life? Then you actually create your experience. And your experience can be positive, even though the outside thing might feel very, very negative. So, Brielle, I know you have something to share about that.
I can really speak to that because I lost most of my belongings in a house fire in 2016. And I think the biggest revelation that kind of came out of that for me in terms of massive life mental shift was that it wasn't a negative thing. It was actually a really positive opportunity that I was gifted by the universe to be more deliberately and co-creating and creating the life that I wanted, right? Instead of just having all the stuff that I had inherited from past relatives that, had moved on. And, I suddenly had a blank slate to then to paint the picture of what I wanted my life to look like in terms of its 3D, what I own, what I fill my home with. And that was such a powerful, when that shifted in my brain and that part became like, oh, this is what this is. I knew I had made the healing had happened, right? There was something inside of me that had really healed to get me to thinking about it that way. And so, that was a really powerful thing.
And that's the great thing to realize, that our greatest gift of freedom is in every now moment. We get to choose how to respond, how to perceive. And no, in this 2020, some people are saying this is hell on earth. It's terrible. Why? Because you're trapped in your house playing watching Netflix. Like, imagine what some of our ancestors went through. Hell on earth with the Great Depression and just the regular life of a farmer, literally from the crack of dawn till dusk, and it's churning butter. I mean, really, is it that hard to sit at home and look on your computer? And the point is, you can choose to create a heaven on earth reality despite any outside circumstances. One of my favorite films is Life is Beautiful with Roberto Benigni, how he's in a concentration camp and he creates this whole playful scenario with the little girl. And he focuses on the heaven on earth part of it. There's another book called actually I can't remember the name of it. Is Search for Life's Meaning by Viktor Frankl, and about another guy in a concentration camp who found something he could do to add value, which was shining the soldier's shoes, and therefore he survived it. But it's all about what are we choosing to focus on. That is the ultimate freedom. Now, when you're programmed, see, many of us are programmed fully, especially those who are watching programming daily. You do not really have the freedom because your brain has been hijacked. So that is why the first thing I did in 1997 was cut all cable TV and stop watching the news. Now, I have to confess, I did watch a little of it during the election this year, and that was very stressful. And I remembered why I stopped watching it. But stop watching the programming and create your own reality. It sounds so.
Yeah.
People might say, "Who do you think you are, Pollyanna? Welcome to Gladtown." Yeah, that's who I am. Welcome to SheShe Land. I'm Angel SheShe. I'm here to spread love and light. I don't really care what else is happening. This is who I am and what I'm here for.
Yeah.
I wanted to make a comment about the Netflix thing too. Like, I was even just thinking about, even if you are going to sit down and watch something on Netflix, there's such a wide variety of what's available to watch on Netflix. And are you going to spend the next hour of your life watching something that uplifts you, that's educational, that makes you feel like, wow, I want to get out there and go do that, go mountain biking or go hiking? Or are you choosing to watch something that's what I would call, say low-fi, programming? And so even with television and movies, you get to choose every single time what vibrational reality you're aligning with. And so I just think, shout out to Netflix for having a variety of options.
Yeah, I personally killed my TV, literally, and my microwave about 16 years ago. Literally, do not own either item in my home. And there's a certain, how can I say, my experience since that's happened has been way more within my sovereignty and feeling like I get to choose. I get to choose how to cook my food and live in a healthy way and with a healthy diet, not nuking my food with radiation. I get to live in choosing what it is that I'm being, that I'm watching and that I'm experiencing. And so I made a promise to myself. I have a child. I have a 5-year-old child, and he very much likes certain kinds of films and shows, and we allow it to a certain degree. But I choose to watch things like Gaia.com, GAIA.com, and here there's tons of documentaries and films and shows. And one of my favorite things is watching a documentary that's all about love or happiness or joy, right? Because what it is it's going into my mind, heart, body, and I'm experiencing that. And then it teaches me how to navigate the next day. If I woke up really upset or depressed or anxious, I can wake up the next day feeling the happiness because I watched a film called Happy for No Reason. Right. And this past Sunday, one of the presenters for the Whole Person Convergence, I cannot remember her full name, but it's Danette from Illuminate Film Festival. They offered a live stream of a film this past Sunday called The Power of the Heart. And it was from the producers of The Secret. And wow, after watching that and seeing some of the things that some people went through, and they still come into a place of forgiveness, no matter what happened to them, no matter what was thrown at them, they still came into a place of forgiveness, acceptance, and compassion and love. And that we operate from our heart first. Our heart feels and knows things. They've done research at Heart Math, where they really show how the heart feels and knows things first before it even goes to the brain. And so when we follow our heart, to me, that is true sovereignty. If my heart says, grow food, grow your own food so that you can feed yourself, to me, that is sovereignty. So SheShe, what are some of the things that you've experienced this year that makes you feel empowered in your sovereignty?
Well, this year, finally taking a break from my reality as the freaking hostess with the mostest that's hosting tons of events, running myself ragged, and going to all my other friends' events to support them. I mean, I was literally a hamster on a wheel. It's just like a machine. And this year, guess what? All events have stopped. I mean, not online events.
Live events.
Live events have stopped. I actually had an amazingly relaxing time. And all of a sudden my evenings have opened up. I spend every evening with my boyfriend. We have the most beautiful discos in my room. We go on walking tours all over the world on YouTube. We're going to Positano, and I lived in Rome my sophomore year of college, and I've been to Italy 6 times, and I'm taking him on all these walking tours on YouTube. They have walking tours anywhere you want to go. The sights and sounds of the city. Sometimes they're 8 hours before the actual stream. And he lived in Germany for 10 years. He's taking me on tours of his hometown. And this is downtime I never had before. And I'm spending it having wonderful, intimate, loving, incredible times. So I've never been closer to him. Some people break up during the lockdown. We got so much closer. We're like Velcro. And every night is so wonderful. We're not sick of each other. We get to finally spend that quality time we've always wanted. And I have time to work on my other creative things and doing readings and other stuff that I do. But I did want to respond to earlier, you had said the word response is our responsibility, and talking about the heart. So what we have as conscious beings that are liberated or sovereign is, instead of being just programmed with that fight or flight, which is to react to whatever's happening, we get to realize there's a third choice, which is respond from the heart. And people who are not aware of that, you can see immediately they don't have a choice. They don't feel they have a choice. But guess what? You do have a choice to take a deep breath no matter what's happening and take a beat.
It's amazing how just hearing you talk about it, all of us were like, suddenly we were going like this. We all were like lifting our chest and really breathing into our heart. And it's incredible how when you just talking about it, just mentioning the word heart, it's like it opens this deeper level of awareness of the heart. And just, it was really funny to watch everyone shift in that moment. Everyone started kind of doing something, and I love that. And I wanted to acknowledge some of our friends that are tuning in with us. We've actually had quite a few people. One person is sending love, light, and peace from Pakistan. So we have people all over the world. And this is a friend on YouTube. And then we have another person who's remained anonymous, but they said Gaia is rad, and it was so interesting to hear people totally resonating with the Gaia. And I like that idea, how powerful words are, right? The heart and the word Gaia, right? These are words that when you hear them, and even the word heart math, like I totally have studied that heart math research, and just hearing, when I hear the word heart math, I feel like my coherence is tuned a little bit more, and I start I start to really start tuning in. Love the synchronicities, magic.
Yeah. Well, the heart is freedom because it's our true nature, which is love, because love is the intelligence that basically created the entire universe. And I do want to bring up this sovereignty divine connection, which is that when you remember that you are a child of Father, Mother, God, the King, Queen of heaven and all creation, you remember that you are divine by birthright. And to be divine is to be one with the Creator and all life. And therefore you are sovereign, no matter what programming you may have had. When you wake up from that, it's like waking up from a dream. Like when my sister passed away and I had my spiritual awakening, I was in a sleep state of programming, which was basically automatic pilot, like must go to work, must earn money, And I recently ran across an old movie called Working Girl with Sigourney Weaver and Melanie Griffith and Harrison Ford. You guys remember that?
Yes.
And I watched it, and it cracked me up because it gave me flashbacks of me going to downtown Chicago. Like in their scenario, they're in Long Island, and all the working girls. Imagine this journey, getting up at like 5 a.m, wearing a suit, and then you have the nylons, and you've got those aerobic white huge socks and the white tennis shoes, and you're walking to work, and you're just trying to survive, trying to get through this huge crowd of people on a ferry, and then you have to walk and take another, subway to work. And then I did that, not the ferry part, but in downtown Chicago, taking a bus and then walking, and you get to work and you take off your socks, your aerobic socks and your aerobic shoes or whatever, the Reeboks, and put on your high heels. But it was hell. That working life was hell on earth, and I was living a hell. 7:30 a.m. meetings, monkey suits every day, this dog eat dog world. And it felt like this cannot be my life. And even though my husband is the same, a workaholic. So for 10 years in my 20s, I'm like working my blank off for what? You know, this carrot that never ends. It's just basically someone else's dream, whoever that was, whatever corporation. And we're giving our precious life force for someone else's dream. Now, the ultimate freedom is when you realize you have a say in what you're using your life force for. And it now could be used toward your dream or whatever gifts that you have. Like anyone can change their life and become an entrepreneur. And many people have been having to look within and ask this big question this year is what gifts do I have that I can contribute to others or solve others' problems? That's how you are free. Then you are free to do what you are here to do, sharing your gifts naturally and having energy exchange in the form of money support you. It's absolutely possible. I've been doing it for 20 years. I've not had a real job since 2000. So you can tell that when you are on purpose, there's always financial flow to assist you. And that does feel like freedom.
Yes, indeed. Yeah, I personally was a waitress for many, many years, going through high school and college. And then I got my massage license and I was able to open a mobile massage company at the time in Los Angeles and was able to go around to different events and create these healing spaces. Long before transformational festivals existed, and really just being able to be there for somebody when they needed someone else, like, you know, walking along and they're just hurt in their body and they need somebody to give them some love. It was a very unique and wonderful experience. And then I moved into my passion, which was dance. My whole life I was a dancer. And I moved into hoop dance and creating circus arts and retreats and classes and teaching and performing and fire dancing. And so I did a lot of that at live events. And then this whole thing shifted all of that because the live events ended and really moved into the teaching and my teacher coming out. And what is it that I have to share? What is it? What are the words of wisdom that are coming through? What are the transmissions that are coming through that I want to share with the world? And what's going to give my life meaning and purpose? And now, being the sovereign being that I am and that I'm experiencing right now is just liberating. Right. It is. So our neighbors, we kind of joked around a little bit about it earlier this summer. Like, we feel like World War II moms. We're like canning fruit and like passing food over the fence. And, oh, you have tomatoes. Great. I have potatoes, you know, and just like trading food and being able to like care for ourselves and how that felt in my body to know that if the crap really hits the fan, that we're going to be taken care of. We have chickens for eggs. We have, you know, like, we're going to be taken care of. And just believing in that, believing that we can find a way. We can find a way to not only create the life that we want, but to actually have a place to speak our truth and a place to have purpose and follow our mission. So many people have lost their jobs this year, and that has given them time to be home, not only with their family, but with themselves, and really determine, what am I here for? What am I here to do? What are my gifts, and how can I start sharing them with the world? And it's really neat to see all these people moving into a more empowered and awakened place and sharing their gifts with the world. So it's an exciting time to live. Super grateful.
That's definitely the silver lining of what we've been going through, is that downtime to be able to ask the big questions.
Yes.
It's inspiring.
Exactly.
So that makes me have a question for both of you. What is it that you maybe always were putting off or said, oh, I'm going to do that later, that you've started doing more of this year? You know, SheShe, you shared a little bit about your time that you're spending with your partner, but I'm curious if there's something like a craft or something that you kind of, you know, books that you've read, or what is it that you've been investing your extra time in this year?
you want to answer that? I guess
Either one can go.
just basically hang out with my work, right? And I'm just kidding.
That's amazing.
That's actually kind of a guilty thought I have, which is I really could have spent this time better because I have a huge bunch of Audible books in my queue, just so many classes I want to be taking. I have taken a lot of online really inspiring classes about DNA flame activation and different codes, and I am in what I feel inspired to be in, but there's a lot that I have been thinking I wish I should have, would have, could have. One of those is exercise. So I will say since December 1st, so that's 16 days in a row, because my biggest, I guess one could say, my biggest challenge would be being in my physical body and having a routine, because I'm not, it's so funny because in the past I perceived a routine as slavery. However, it's come to my attention that when you have a routine and discipline, on the other side of that is freedom. So in avoiding a routine of the workouts and everything for for many, many years, I now have the flip side of that, which is, effects of being heavy and having body pain, because I was trying to be free from a routine. So I have good news that since December 1st, I have a buddy system with one of my coaching clients, and every day at 10 a.m. we do stretches for 15 minutes over the phone together to make sure we're doing it. Then for the other 45 minutes, I'm doing a series of crunches and all these things, getting in my body. So it's been 16 days.
Yay!
Let's celebrate. And I'm looking forward to, I'm gently building up my muscles. I'm looking forward to getting back to the swimming. That's one thing that has been a challenge. That was my exercise, was swimming at the pool in the gym, which is where I met my boyfriend. So now that's been closed since March. So it's getting creative. We can do other things.
Yeah. Wonderful. I personally have spent a lot more time reading. I went from reading, one book every few months to at least one every 3 weeks. So it's been really powerful and impactful, and to be able to choose what it is that I'm reading and intaking has been wonderful. Some of my favorites is Solara, The Remembrance of the Awakened Ones. I'm reading one right now by her right now called Living Large on a Small Planet. She also wrote The 1111 Doorway, which also has been occurring for me. Is I've been writing a lot more. And when April rolled around and I started launching Anistara's messages online, the channel was clear. I went to Shasta for a writing retreat and the channel was clear, and I was just, and so I'm writing 2 books at the moment right now. I have one published already called Primordial Spin, an Intergalactivation Guidebook. And at this moment, I won't give away the titles yet, but I'm very excited. And one is almost to completion. So that feels really good. Also, my husband and I have been hosting 1111 gatherings for 10 years. And this year was our 11th annual 1111. And because we couldn't do it in person, it became a virtual event. And Brielle, you were a part of it. And SheShe, you were a part of it. And I feel so honored and blessed to have this virtual platform in which we were able to share these really powerful presenters and awakened leaders and conscious entrepreneurs, and just feeling my heart filled with gratitude how many people stepped up to help with the project, and just the expansion of what's occurring and moving into this next year, and lots of content for our 1111 Unify community network. So I really have taken this moment first to rest and read, and then was activated and was like, it was almost like the DNA code in me just turned on and was like, okay, this is what we're doing now. And this is the message, and this is how we're going to do it. And let's do it. And there's no more waiting anymore. Now is the time. Now is the time during our grand awakening on planet Earth. What is the purpose? What is my mission? And I am very clear on what that is now. So it's been a powerful, powerful year for me. Thank you for asking.
Super, super awesome. Hey, it was really interesting as both of you guys were speaking. Something that I've actually been doing kind of came through for me, and it kind of was, it was in as SheShe mentioned that she really doesn't enjoy routine, I started thinking about how I'm just this total adventurer. And while I know I need to do things like read and meditate and exercise, sometimes it is the idea of doing it in a really routine, like I have to do it every day at this time, or I'm going to be slapping myself on the wrist, that's been kind of my like turn off, right? Because I am an just total adventurer soul. So what I actually started doing was this thing called the limitless ritual, and I'm going to share my screen and show you guys it because it's actually a bunch of what you guys were talking about is kind of. So if you guys can see this, so what this is this is kind of like, you put your days of the week at the top, and then you can actually add in your own down here. And so I would add in like make art because I really like to make art, and I would add in listen to frequencies or do the vibe bed. I have a vibrating sound therapy system, and down here I would add in like digital detox, right? But what this is it's a way of kind of keeping track of, are you reading in the morning? Are you listening to motivation? Are you praying? Are you drinking a lot? Are you smoking a lot? Are you taking your vitamins? And I really like this because it's not about getting 100 perfect score every day. What it is if you can get 11 or more a day of these boxes checked, what it does is it puts you into flow state. And that's where this place where I've discovered all these synchronicities and magic just start to kind of open up, right? And it's just this really interesting thing that started happening for me as I started to just, it wasn't about doing the same thing every morning, but maybe I'd start with a card reading in the morning and then go into a meditation and then exercise. Or maybe one day I'd wake up and I'd exercise and then I'd do an hour digital detox, and be offline for an hour. And so I like it because it's keeping track of yourself, and it's making sure you're doing things, but you can do it in whatever order, it feels flowy for you that day, and so that's one of the things I started doing was kind of tracking myself and looking at, okay, which of these boxes am I not checking for things like whole week at a time? And what I would do is instead of like putting a red X and making myself feel kind of like, oh, I'm bad for not doing that, I started actually hearting the ones that I wasn't doing, because it was an indication to me that was an area that I maybe needed to look at giving more love, and maybe look at opening my heart to why is it that I've been, drinking alcohol more this week than last week or whatever. And when you have these for, it's a 1 month, one sheet is actually 2 weeks of time. But you can look at like, oh, wow, 3 weeks ago I was rocking it. And what happened between then and now that caused me to kind of, what emotional things have. And so it's a way of really looking at yourself from a very objective, but also still giving yourself, hey, like if I do this, I know I'm going to feel good. If I take my vitamins and I drink water and I exercise and I read and I meditate and I make art, I'm going to be happy, I'm going to feel awesome. And then the synchronicities are just going to start to abound. If I pray every day, I mean, come on, girls. Like, I know you guys know the magic of prayer. And for me, like, that's one of the ones that, like, I seem to kind of, I know I need to pray, but sometimes I don't, So just having that as a reminder and having a way of tracking myself is just so powerful.
I love it. I think it's such a paradox that an actual structure creates freedom, and that's something that's really clicking in. And I love the flexibility of that structure, that it is something that you can follow. And that's why I'm like, for me to have, imagine me every moment since the lockdown going, I really need to start exercising. I really need to do this every single day. And then I have a structure with just meeting someone at 10 every day that solved the problem. It's like, for me, yes, it does equal. I am seeing how it can equal freedom, and I have my own daily transformational activity checklist that I use for my clients. That's similar. It's not about the timing, but it is overwhelming when I look at mine, all the supplements I'm taking, and all the things I'm doing. But I love your idea of, instead of making yourself wrong for the things you didn't do, you put a heart when you didn't do it. That's a really beautiful insight.
Yeah.
That was actually one of the big things that I was like, why is it that I'm putting a heart in the ones I'm, and not making myself bad for not doing 100%, but knowing that if I get a certain percentage, I'm going to feel good. And one important piece that was actually presented to me with that was the importance of having an accountability partner. And so it sounds like, SheShe, you found that with your group that, you guys all meet up together. Having an accountability partner can be so powerful, or a mentor, just somebody that's saying, hey, how you doing? What's going on today? How you feeling? And that wellness element comes in when you have somebody who you just feel so loved and cared and supported for.
Yeah. I love that.
We need each other. I'm not a self-starter. I need my human family, and they need me.
And how funny would we say that on a sovereignty call, right? This is all about sovereignty, and here we are saying we need each other. And I think
it's so true.
It's a big thing. Like to be sovereign, I think we need a greater acknowledgement that we all are connected, right? And so it is that idea that world peace begins with inner peace. And so interesting thoughts there.
Thank you for sharing that, Brielle. Something that came up as you were sharing was part of self-governance is, what do we do with the pieces of ourselves that we aren't paying attention to? How can we, get up and exercise, or all the things that we're like, I need to do this, I need to do this, I need to do that, right? And, as our friend Miraculous says, the word need or have has this heavy connotation to it, has this weight behind it, like weight on your shoulders. So instead, actually just reframing the way that we talk about it. So I get to do this. I want to do this. I'm excited to do this. I'm honored to do this, right? And if we start reframing the way that we even speak about the things that we have to or need to do, then it changes the vibration. There's this spaciousness, there's this openness and this lightness in the energy of, I get to, I want to. Like, I get to move my body today. I get to wake up and take my vitamins. I love drinking 50 glasses of water a day, right? And so retraining the brain that it is there's positive reinforcement, right? Instead of using the negative reinforcement of, oh, I didn't do this. Oh, I should have done this. Shoulda, woulda, coulda, didn't, right? And so, yes, having our accountability buddies is very, very important, right? And something just to mention too, many times, right? We say the word guys. Hey, guys. Well, we're goddesses, we're women, we're girls, we're ladies, we're Gaias. If you start saying guys, right? So getting out of that frame of just, this masculine linear list, what you need to do, boom, 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 and more into our feminine, our sacred feminine energy of, we are Gaias, we are goddesses, we are in the flow. Hey, I didn't get around to exercising today. It's okay. I'm going to take an extra long walk tomorrow, and I'm excited about it. So, one of the things that I'm so grateful for during this time was actually doing that and getting out and taking a walk with the dogs and spending more time with my son. He's 5. He's not in school now, and I get to actually sit with him and play Legos and teach him things that I would love to see him cultivate in his life. So, self-governance also means not beating ourselves up when we don't do what it is that we're choosing and wanting to do, but to have forgiveness and acceptance and compassion for ourselves first and foremost.
I love it. So talking about getting to exercise and getting to pay attention to the pain, in my case, I was ignoring my physical body for a long time and really in the ethers and meditating a lot and doing spiritual everything and readings and coachings and stuff, but not in the body. And I'm learning about how important it is to pay attention to my body. So I had this chiropractor this year. In trying to avoid pain for so many years, I have way more pain. So it didn't work. The whole thing of just trying to have pleasure and no pain does not work. It's impossible. I tried it. Trust me, I tried it. And he said, all these years, he'd like, I've had fibromyalgia for a long time, and I just live with it. It's just like, yeah, my body always has pain. But he's pressing on all these parts that have excruciating pain. And I'm like, yeah, that really hurts. I think he goes, your new job is to literally find out where your body, wherever your body has pain, you poke on it. And you're basically releasing energy, So instead of saying, ouch, this hurts, I don't want to poke on it, I'm going to avoid it. You're listening to each part, like, what are you trying to tell me? The parts that have pain, and then letting it go. And it's worked. I'm like, you mean, so when I feel, when I feel this pain, it's, I'm supposed to keep pressing on it. And it's just counterintuitive. It's like, when you feel pain, you want to feel more pain. And it's amazing how when you press on the parts, whatever little parts of muscles that have extreme pain, he said, it's kind of like a zit that's you're popping, letting a demon out of your body. And I'm like, oh, that's a really good visual. But, you keep pushing it, and then it liberates. So talking about taking your body back and taking your sovereignty back, I abandoned ship a little bit with my physical body. It's sort of like, I'm an earth angel, fly, fly, fly. Guess what? Now you have a huge human body. And now you've got a project. So bringing that attention to the parts of my body that need love and attention, and pressing on it gently and doing all the stretches. Sometimes stretches hurt a little bit. It's good. It's ripping the muscles, growing stronger, and it is strengthening in a kind of, what comes to mind is the story of a butterfly that's in a cocoon, and the man sees it every day struggling to get out with one wing out, and finally it feels so bad. The man feels so bad, he cuts the butterfly to the cocoon, and that butterfly could never fly because it gets its strength in the struggle. So it just limped along forever and ever. And because that's what we do, get strength through our struggle. And that is something that I try to avoid, the struggle and the pain part. And I'm here to say it's not a good idea. Definitely, when you feel pain, pay 100% attention and love, and give and listen and say, what are you trying to tell me? And release it.
Yeah, that is a big part of self-governance, is really listening to your body. Yeah. What is it that my body wants and desires? We spoke of this the other night on whole person convergence, like being able to hold a product, like, oh, I have this certain vitamin that somebody told me would be good for me. I'm going to hold it here, and I'm going to ask my body, what is a yes? And sometimes it's a lean forward. Sometimes it's a rock to the right. What is my no? Sometimes it's a lean back or a circle. And you just listen to your body, and you hold that, and you say, is this right for me at this moment in time? And your body will say yes or no. And if you listen to that, you can do that with your food. You could do that with a restaurant that you want to go to pick up your to-go food, whatever it is that you're going to ingest and take into your body. Same thing with exercise. Is Pilates right for me? And just ask your body, because it knows exactly what it wants and desires, and what's going to be good for it, and what's going to feel good, right? It's all about what's going to make me feel good right now. What's going to make me feel good without turning to alcohol or other ways of detaching from our life. This is something that's really important, that's happening right now. There's a lot more people who are having strife in their relationships, addictions, and divorce rates are going up, like so many things, because we're trapped inside our small homes, and we don't have our usual distractions, and there's strife that's occurring right now. And I encourage everybody to understand that this is the mirror that you've chosen to have in your life, so that you can learn and grow from it. And so, of course, in extreme cases of abuse, you please do something about it and call the authorities, reach out to someone in your family. There's no tolerance for that. And there could be forgiveness and compassion eventually. But the point is that we are all in the lives that we've chosen, and it's how we navigate that at this particular moment that gives us the ability to see, how am I being governed? Am I governing myself? Am I being governed by the outside? Like, is somebody telling me what to do and I just follow like a robot, you know, or do I actually have free will and an open mind, and I'm considering other ideas, right? So
Free will choice.
yeah.
I love it. So I would like to bring up one thing that's been very powerful for me. One of my friends, Kaya Ra, wrote a book called The Sofia Code. She stayed with me for a few weeks in 2016. I love her. But this book, I would highly recommend to anyone who wants to go deeper with the sovereignty concept, because she has many pages of I rescind vows of poverty from past lives. I rescind any way we may have given away our power unconsciously or consciously in the past. It is time to take back all of those agreements and vows that no longer serve us. One of them is just being born, and you have to have a birth certificate, and you get a heel prick where your blood is taken out of your body, and then your name is in capital letters as a corporation. So we are basically a part of the system in that way. We're considered an asset of whatever country we're born in. There is a way to take your sovereignty back, where you clearly basically apply to have your divine sovereignty, and you're no longer property of anyone else but yourself. And that you can find out more about that at reclaimdivinesovereignty.com. It's a great website. There's a very, very detailed explanation of how 1302, there was a papal bull that started this whole thing off, where we are property of someone else besides ourselves. And our parents just, if you don't basically declare your child born and have a birth certificate, you get fined like $1,000 within 2 weeks. You have to, is that really freedom when you can't have a child whenever you want to, or you can't? I mean, there are so many parts of our system we don't question, and we're just like, this is just life. But when you look deeper, and those are two places I would suggest: the Sofia Code, very powerful book, audiobook, especially in her own voice, and reclaimdivinesovereignty.com.
Awesome. Thank you. I so appreciate you, SheShe, and this conversation today, and sovereignty. Again, just a powerful moment for us to be discovering all of this. And here we are in the middle of the week. Right now, we just had a total solar eclipse, new moon, moving into the winter solstice, when Jupiter and Saturn aligns, and it creates the Bethlehem star in the sky, which we haven't seen in over 800 years. Moving from the age of Pisces into the new golden age of Aquarius. What a powerful week to be talking with you, ladies. Thank you so much for your time and your words of wisdom. I appreciate you so much. And I wish everybody a beautiful and blessed day.
Thank you.
Bless you
so much. Thank you, Brielle. Great to see you.
You guys are both angels, and it's just I'm so grateful to get to be here with you today. So thank you so much. And for those of you who want to connect with us, make sure to tune in next on the 22nd. SheShe will be with us for the holiday celebration, Solstice 11/11 Zoom party, and we have already we're already at over 50% capacity for that Zoom event. So make sure, if you're interested in joining us, to sign up. It's totally free. And we'll be also talking a little bit about our upcoming mastermind at that holiday celebration. So stay tuned for lots of exciting events and opportunities coming your way for the remainder of 2020 and beyond.
Yeah, and you can find out more about that at the 1111 Community Network Facebook page, or Anistara Facebook page. And SheShe, can you tell us all how to get a hold of you and your work?
Yes, I have a beautiful divine life activation meditation that's free. You can get it by going to liveadivinelife.com, liveadivinelife.com. And you can follow me on Instagram. I'm Angel SheShe, Angel SheShe.
Yes.
Awesome. Live a divine life, and a divine life it is, ladies. A divine life it is. All right. So much love to everybody, and we'll see you guys next time.
Thank